Following practice ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix, Red Bull announced that they've signed young Russian Daniil Kvyat to the end of the 2018 season, following his surprise win last time out at Singapore, and they're hoping for more similar in the future. Ferrari have announced that they've planned no upgrades for the remainder of the season, despite this being their best chance of securing both championships since 2010. The drivers have to do the best with what they've got currently. Mercedes have also stated that they will not use team orders until the final race if necessary, where the lead driver will have the benefit of the team orders. Taking a look at the qualifying grid for the Japanese Grand Prix, Valtteri Bottas would take pole, 3 tenths clear of Lewis Hamilton in second in the Ferrari. Josh Taylor would line up third once again for Williams, Sebastian Vettel just behind in fourth. Nico Rosberg could only manage fifth on the grid, with Sebastian Buemi in the second Williams in sixth. Daniil Kvyat lines up in seventh, half a second clear of Sergio Perez, who starts in eighth as the lead Force India. His teammate Nico Hülkenberg will start from ninth, and Max Verstappen rounds off the top 10 for Toro Rosso. Taking a look at the rest of the grid, and Jean-Eric Vergne wouldn't even make it into Q3, so he would line up 11th, just ahead of Carlos Sainz in the second Toro Rosso. Carmen Jorda lines up in 13th. The two Saubers of Adrian Sutil and Marcus Ericsson 14th and 15th. Stoffel Vandoorne lines up in 16th. Joseph Krell 17th. Alonso in 18th. With Will Stevens in 19th. And Alex Rossi completes the grid. Going now to the 5 red lights. Unfortunately I forgot to show the strategy, but it's another one stop as usual. Red lights out and away we go. Actually get a pretty okay start. Initial start was like Hamilton's got a much better launch on the second part of the start. Now we've got Sebastian Vettel coming down the inside, just now going to sail one, we break early, give Vettel that position. Because I really don't fancy going too wide given the incidents that have happened here over the past few years, mainly that one in 2012 with Alonso, Grosjean and Webber. So I just thought it best to back off there and let Vettel go through, because it's only qualifying we had the pace over Vettel. It just means now we can convert that into race pace and try and get back past the Ferrari. So you can try and get back into third and try and challenge for the win. You can see Bottas already pulling a small gap up in front to Lewis Hamilton in second. Now going through this first section, this is where we lose out quite a bit of time here. Now through the second and third sector, where we gain most of it, and down the straight in the first sector through, because we just haven't got the downforce through the S section to keep with the Ferraris and the Mercedes. Think about making a dive inside of Vettel there into the hairpin. Just not quite close enough. Maybe if it's in the Lotus I might have gone for that, but seeming I'm in the Williams now, I can't go for these kind of crazy dive bomb attempts because they never work. So I've got to continue in P4 now, try and catch up to the back of Sebastian Vettel once again. Now coming up this straight into 130R, this is where we've got the best chance of making our moves, because nothing can compete with the straight line speed of this Williams. I've got to utilise that to advantage in the slipstream, try and gain on the back of Sebastian Vettel, and try and keep Nico Rosberg at bay. With Rosberg not having the best qualifying, and we saw that's evident here, now he's still behind us, and both of the Ferraris. You see, despite the upgrades and we're going to dive it up the inside here off Sebastian Vettel, really catching napping there. Now we get back up into P3. As I was saying, the Mercedes upgrades don't really seem to have made all too much difference. They still don't look to have it in a straight line. Through the corners they look to be better, but in a straight line they only look to be third best behind Ferrari and Williams. Now coming through turn 1, Vettel's now coming under pressure from Nico Rosberg behind now. He's pulled a small gap to him already, just showing the straight line speed advantage we have over the Ferrari. Now cutting a bit further on out, midway through lap 2, coming to 130R, gaining in the slipstream of Vettel's teammate Lewis Hamilton. This will be for second place. Now pulling to the inside of Lewis Hamilton, coming up to 130R, going to make this move stick? Yes we do. And move up into P2. And now we can try and chase down Valtteri Bottas for the lead of this Grand Prix. Of course we're not in a championship fight, so let's go try and make as much of a nuisance for ourselves as we can. Try and get in amongst this top 4 battle. And looking a bit further forward, looking back at the Manners actually, because the Manners really have had no coverage whatsoever this season. I think this is the first time I've actually talked about them in a video since the start of the season in Australia, where they're causing that blockade from the two Williams. So these two going started having a great old battle here, and this is, with the way they're battling, you think they're going for the World Championship, but this is the battle to not finish in last. This is the battle for P19 on the grid. It's like Stevens just going to hold it up the inside of Rossi, just forcing it out wide. And Stevens managed to hold on to 19th place for the time being. Imagine with the way they're going, there's going to be quite a battle between those two. to not finish last throughout the remainder of this race. They're cutting back onto us now, midway through lap 3, we actually caught up to the back of Valtteri Bottas already. So it's really not taking us long. See, we've got the purple lap time, so we have set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. I think we'll show you that we do have the pace. Let's just see if we can use it to our advantage to try and gain on the back of Valtteri Bottas in that Mercedes, to try and take the lead of the Grand Prix. Because the more points we take off these championship, the people in the Mercedes and Ferraris, the more we're influencing the championship. Now coming up to the inside now, Valtteri Bottas, are we coming to 130? Look up the inside. We forced Bottas off of the track there, but now we do move up into the lead of the Grand Prix now. That's allowed both the Ferraris to catch right back up now, and Rosberg now. All four of them right on the back of Valtteri Bottas now, but we did force Bottas off of the track. So I'm going to pull to the inside here down the straight and let Bottas go back through in all fairness, because that wasn't the cleanest of overtakes we've made, so let Bottas go back through, but now slow down too much, and now Hamilton's got through as well. Now Hamilton gaining the slipstream in DRS, going to go up the inside of Valtteri Bottas, coming into turn 1, Bottas can try and hold it offside, Bottas goes off the track, try and hold it now around the outside of Lewis Hamilton. Now those two going side by side, much like Stevens and Merry were on the previous lap. So Hamilton's going to try and hold it around the outside, as he just runs out a bit wide, now Bottas sweeps back around the outside, but Hamilton just keeps his nose in. These two keeping it side by side now through the S section. We've managed to clear Sebastian Vettel to go welcome into third. Now these two going side by side up the hill. Hamilton's now got the inside line, which changes to the outside line. Bottas on the inside is going to force Hamilton out wide. Hamilton gets a bit of a slide on there. Now Hamilton drops back down into P2. And Bottas just about remains in the lead of this Grand Prix for the time being. You can see the train forming on the back of us now. So you've got Bottas, then Hamilton, myself, then Vettel, Rosberg, Buemi, and then Kvyat's actually on the back of this train as well. So you can just see how much we're slowing down each other if Kvyat in the Red Bull is able to keep up with us. The Red Bull is about a second and a half a lap off of the pace of the Mercedes and the Ferraris. Then now look, Hamilton's actually keeping with Valtteri Bottas, so Hamilton must have the engine turned up in rich mix now, trying to keep in the slipstream on the back of Valtteri Bottas in that Mercedes. Of course, the team that he left last season should now trying to get the better of them. Now coming up in the slipstream, the slipstream here is pretty powerful, and the Ferrari is faster on a straight line, so now Hamilton gaining against the slipstream now on the back of Valtteri Bottas, going to pull to the inside of the fin, now coming to 130, going side by side, they're just about keep it around, maybe a bit of contact now, going 4 wide, 2 sets of 2x2, Bottas and Hamilton, then myself and Sebastian Vettel coming into the final chicane. Like Hamilton just has slot back in behind Valtteri Bottas for the time being. Now Hamilton pits at the end of lap 4, so Hamilton's coming in for a very early pit stop. And he's Bottas in the lead. Now Vettel's got round us for P2, so we have to turn back into the slipstream of the 4-time world champion. Now gaining the slipstream, now coming back to the inside, coming up to turn 1 and pull back to the inside of Sebastian Vettel. Coming around turn 1, make the move up the inside, indeed we have. Now we move back up into P2. Now we can try and chase down Valtteri Bottas once again to try and get into the lead of the Grand Prix. So he's telling our engineers there that we're pitting at the end of this lap, but very interesting strategy from Lewis Hamilton to pit this early. That's surely going to drop him back in some traffic along with down with the Lotuses and the Saubers. So unless Ferrari have found some sort of magical gap to feed him back out into, I can't see that the undercut working by stopping this early in the race. Now come on the end of lap 5, coming in for our pit stop at the end of this lap. Bottas hasn't managed to pull away that much from us, but he should. I don't think we'll be able to jump into the pits. We need a mighty pit stop here from the Williams if we want to try and jump Valtteri Bottas. Now coming into the pits for our one and only stop to go on to set of the hard tyres to go to the end of this race. It looks like Vettel's coming along with us, and the Red Bull of Kvyat's coming as well. So now we've been held for Valtteri Bottas, but that was to be expected, seeing he was in before us. Now Bottas goes out in front of us, and Kvyat has jumped Sebastian Vettel, so there's a terrible stop from the Ferrari boys, and that could be crucial. Question is, whereabouts is Lewis Hamilton going to come out now with his undercut? Has his undercut worked on us? Now we're all exit in the pit lane now, Sebastian Vettel at the back of this queue. But Lewis Hamilton's only coming around turn 1 now, so Hamilton's undercut really hasn't worked. He's been overcut by myself and Kvyat. And to an extent Valtteri Bottas you could say as well, but we don't care about Hamilton, we care about keeping with Valtteri Bottas here and see on the fresh tyres how much closer we're able to keep to the back of that Mercedes. Still Ferrari getting their strategy completely wrong, mucking up on both cars. First of all with Hamilton bringing him a lap early, and then just getting it completely wrong on Vettel's stop to allow Kvyat to jump back in front, because if Vettel was in front of Kvyat then Vettel would have cleared Hamilton. Now they're both going to be held up behind the Red Bull for the time being. Now we've been held up still by Valtteri Bottas, because Bottas trying to pull away from us as much as he can. We've seen with fresh tyres we do have the fastest car. Bottas already doing a double lockup there on his fresh tyres. That's not what he wants to do. Bottas here really feeling the pressure, because we don't care. We're not in the championship fight. We can just try and fight Bottas as much as we want. And it's up to him to make a mistake. If he makes a mistake, that's on his head, not mine. Now coming up to Spoon, gaining right on the back in the slipstream now on the back of Valtteri Bottas. Now coming up the straight here, this is where Bottas is going to have a really tough time defending from the straight line speed from our Williams with this BMW engine. Gaining in the slipstream now, we're ready to go left to the right. No dummy, we're going to try and go around the outside of Valtteri Bottas, coming to 130R, and we make it work. Round the outside of Valtteri Bottas. Does that move us into the net lead? It depends where Buemi and Rosberg come out, because they've had to stay out the extra laps. It depends, have they gone overcut on both of us? I'd imagine that they pit at the end of this lap. It's time to see where they come out in relation to two Ferraris and Kvyat as well. Now coming down the straight, where's Rosberg and Buemi? They're just coming out the pits now, so we've got an undercut on Rosberg and Buemi. But they've both overcut both the Ferraris. This has been a nightmare for Ferrari. Now only one of them has managed to clear Kvyat, so I'd imagine that's Hamilton, assuming he was the lead Ferrari, so Vettel still stuck behind Kvyat at this time. But now we're trying to pull away from Valtteri Bottas now coming up the S section, where we haven't got the greatest speed in the world. Not much downforce on this Williams as I would ideally want, so it's going to make the best of it. See, there's a lot of rear traction lacking, so sliding a lot, so which wide out the rear tyres a lot quicker. And Stoffel Van Dorn from McLaren Honda is currently leading this Grand Prix. I imagine that's just for a home pride thing, McLaren leaving him out for an extra lap so he can actually lead a Grand Prix, of course, because Honda is Japanese engine company, Japanese manufacturer, so leaving him out for an extra lap kind of makes sense. Now coming midway through lap 9, we're now back into the lead. Van Dorn stopped. Now we've got Rosberg and Bottas going side by side behind. This is for P2. Rosberg going up the inside of 130. I hope he doesn't try and dive inside of us as well. Thankfully he doesn't, but now they've cost each other loads of time. Bottas really not making it easy for Nico Rosberg. And understandably as well, because they're both in a championship fight, along with both of the Ferraris, so they're not giving each other an inch. Giving each other enough space, but they're going to fight each other all the way to the end of the race. Now cutting midway through lap 10. Rosberg's now caught up right to the back of us now. Got a bit of a gap to fight to Bottas, so Bottas dropping off the pace slightly. Now Rosberg gaining on the back of us now. Despite the BMW straight line speed, Rosberg with slipstream and Mercedes engine, which is still pretty decent in a straight line, Rosberg should be able to try and overtake us here. Now he's going to try and defend to the outside. Rosberg getting in the slipstream. You think about making a move, pulls to the inside. You can keep it up the inside now. 130, we're able to drive right around the outside of him. Rosberg loses momentum. Now that allows Valtteri Bottas to close right onto the back now of Nico Rosberg. So now this is a three-way fight for the race lead. Me, Rosberg and Bottas. The Ferraris really have dropped off the pace now in the battling with Buemi and Kvyat. Now coming into turn 1, Rosberg pulling to the inside of us. We have to defend to the inside, squeeze as much as we can, moving back onto the racing line. Going to go side by side into turn 1. We're trying to hold it now around the outside of Rosberg, as well Bottas did it earlier on, so why can't we do it? Rosberg, they just get traction on the inside line now. Rosberg moves up into the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. We'll try and keep with him here through the S section. We run out a bit wide in the dirty air. And he's gaining time in. Now we've been taken out, we've been taken out by Bottas. And now we've spun into the wall and Bottas off as well. Has Bottas got any damage? He's stopped in the gravel, has to wait for Kvyat and all the other cars to go past. But now we're facing the complete wrong way. I see what happened there? Just come around the corner and it's completely took out by by Bottas. See, now we'll come back on the track, thankfully. He's completely understeering like a complete boat, so imagine we've got some sort of front wing damage. And indeed we have seen over the left side wheel. There's none of our front wing left, so got to 2.5 laps now with half a front wing. Now looking at the replay of what happened, see that we're going side by side with Nico Rosberg coming to turn 1. We get forced out wide, so now there Rosberg takes the lead of the Grand Prix. And we're trying to keep close through the S section. Now keeping pretty close to Nico Rosberg there, just getting a bit dirty air on. And then Rosberg just get tapped in the side by Valtteri Bottas. I mean, honestly, I'd probably say that's a racing incident because there was easily enough room for Bottas to not hit us. There's easily enough room on the left side, but Bottas just kept turning right into our car. So I would say that's a racing incident. Thankfully, no penalty from the stewards, but if there was a penalty to be given, I would say that our front wing damage was the penalty and all of that. Now we've got one of the towers right behind us now, looking very racy. We just completely go off the track because we just can't turn. I mean, when it seems you've got front wing damage, it's completely unreal how much you can't drive the car. Now it's going off into the gravel, now being overtaken now by a McLaren Honda. Now it's a complete straight line affair between BMW and Honda. You can just see they're streaking ahead in the Williams. And now Van Dorn's going to dive it back up the inside in 130R. What was Van Dorn thinking? That could have ended very nastily if we were actually able to turn the corner. Now diving out up the inside of Fernando Alonso coming into the final corner. Managed to get back one of the McLarens, but still, what was Van Dorn thinking? If we were actually able to manage to turn the corner, that would have been a pretty nasty collision, I would have thought. But now coming down the straight and now coming down to turn 1, we're nowhere near gaining back on Van Dorn. Now looking on Fernando Alonso, coming down to turn 1. And Alonso just completely followed us out wide, probably focusing too much on our line. So we're running out wide because it's a complete turn. There's been contact, we've been spun again! Twice in 2 laps, we've been spun in pretty much the same place. And that pretty much just sums up the end of our race, really. Hopefully we get going, it's still got all 3 wheels in the car. There goes one of the Force Indies around the outside. Now cutting on to the end of that lap, Nico Rosberg. Completely unchallenged in that final lap. Now Rosberg's going to cross the line to win the Japanese Grand Prix. And that's completely what he did in the championship. It's going to be second place for Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari, just dropped off the pace in the end. Decent result there for Daniel Kvyat, coming home in what I imagine is 5th position. Another good result there for Kvyat. Now here comes Jean-Eric Vergne with another okay result. Not being able to match Kvyat really since his promotion. Now here comes Carmen Jordan sliding her right around the final corner, taking some other decent points off for Lotus, because of course Lotus don't really know if they're even going to be racing next season. Now here comes Carlos Sainz over the line in P10. Big decent result for him. Now Joseph Kral in 11th with one of the Saubers. They're completing the top 12. Now here comes Nico Hülkenberg in 13th, once again just missing out on points. Hülkenberg really likes coming home in 13th position and just missing out on points in this season. Now comes Fernando Alonso, who gets going again after his collision with us on the final lap. Now there's us mowing the lawn to come across the line with a very disappointing result. Taking a look at the race results, Nico Rosberg would take victory, 6.5 seconds clear of Lewis Hamilton in second, and our teammate Sebastian Buemi would complete the podium in third. Sebastian Vettel would drop down to 4th, with Daniel Kvyat a very impressive 5th for Red Bull, just over 10 seconds off the lead, so a great drive there from the Russian. Valtteri Bottas would recover up to 6th, with Jean-Eric Vergne in 7th, Perez in 8th for Force India, Carmen Jordan in 9th, Carlos Sainz riding off the top 10 for Toro Rosso, Joseph Kral in 11th for Lotus, Marcus Ericsson rounding off the point scorers in 12th. Moving on to the driver standings, and Nico Rosberg would now take the lead of the Drivers' Championship, now 3 points clear of Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas, who are all joint on 154 points. And Sebastian Buemi in 5th, 45 points behind now. Daniel Kvyat in 6th on 96 points. We're in 7th on 82. 19 points clear now of Jean-Eric Vergne, who's in 8th, finally moves ahead of Jenson Button. Daniel Ricciardo still in 10th, Adrian Sutil 11th for Sauber, and Nico Hülkenberg rounding off the top 12 for Force India. Moving on to the constructor standings, Mercedes now have a 3-point lead over Ferrari here in second. They were close to see them in the constructors and in the drivers as well. Got a feeling that's going to go down to the final race at Brazil. There's Williams in third now, over 100 points off the lead. And it's some way ahead now of Red Bull, 34 points clear of Red Bull. With Lotus in 5th, nearing 100 points now on 96. Toro Rosso in 6th on 75 points. Sauber now with 1 point clear of Force India, 59 points. Force India in 8th on 58. McLaren in 9th on 39 points, and Manor round off the top 10. That's been the Japanese Grand Prix. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed the race, subscribe if you're new, comment down below your thoughts on the race or anything. I'll see you all next time.